Back in January 1954, a baby girl was born in rural Mississippi. So poor her grandmother dressed her in potato sacks for school. Other kids laughed. Teachers looked away. Nobody expected anything from her. Fast forward 70 years. That same girl now owns 5,000 acres of hidden Hawaiian paradise. Private gates, mountain views, complete silence. Her name, Oprah Winfrey. For 25 years, she was the most powerful face on American television. Billions watched. Millions cried with her. The whole world knew her secrets. Then suddenly, she vanished. No scandal, no breakdown, no explanation, just gone. But here is what makes this strange. She did not disappear into sadness. She disappeared into a life most billionaires only dream about. Endless green hills, fresh mountain air, days without schedules. So why would someone with everything choose to hide from it all? What happens on that secret farm when no one is watching? And what does Oprah know about peace that took $3.2 billion to understand? Today we step behind those gates, and the answer might surprise you. So the story begins in 1954, not in a hospital, but in a tiny farmhouse in rural Mississippi. A baby girl arrived into a world of poverty so deep her grandmother stitched potato sacks into dresses. Her name was supposed to be Orpah, but people kept mispronouncing it. And Oprah became the name the world would never forget. She had nothing. No stable home, no money, no father around. Moving between relatives became her childhood, never knowing where she would sleep next month. But something inside her refused to break. At just 17, she entered a beauty pageant, not for the crown, but for a chance at something bigger. She won Miss Black Tennessee, and that single moment opened the door to broadcasting. Nobody taught her media. Nobody handed her connections. She bet everything on herself, dropped out of college early, and chased television full-time. A risky move, absolutely. But Oprah understood something most people learn too late. If you do not believe in yourself, nobody else will. Every quiet acre she owns today was earned by that fearless girl from Mississippi. But self-belief alone does not build empires. What happened next would shock the entire industry. So in 1984, Oprah got a phone call that sounded like a trap. A struggling morning show in Chicago. Terrible ratings, bad time slot, zero hope. Everyone saw a dead end. Oprah saw something different. She walked into that studio and did something no host had done before. She talked to viewers like friends, not audiences. Within months, the show went from forgotten to must-watch television. And on September 8th, 1986, it officially became The Oprah Winfrey Show, launching nationally. For the next 25 years, millions tuned in every single day. But here is what made Oprah different from every other famous host. She understood one brutal truth. Fame disappears, but ownership lasts forever. While other hosts took salaries, Oprah built her own company, Harpo Productions. She did not just host the show, she owned it completely. Every advertisement, every rerun, every licensing deal, money flowed to her, not some network executive. In 1996, she launched Oprah's Book Club, and one recommendation could turn unknown authors into millionaires overnight. People trusted her because she never faked anything. That trust became worth billions. But empires demand constant attention, and soon, Oprah faced an impossible choice between growing bigger and finally finding peace. After 25 years on television, the final episode aired, and everyone waited for Oprah's next big move. Another show, a bigger empire, more visibility. But Oprah did something nobody predicted. She disappeared, not into failure, not into scandal, into Hawaii. Over 5,000 acres of hidden land on Maui, where gates lock and the world stops existing. Think about this for a moment. She could have kept dominating television. She could have launched 10 more shows. Instead, she chose silence. After decades of giving herself to audiences, she finally decided to give herself to herself. Here is what makes this property special. The main house does not scream billionaire. No glass towers, no golden gates, just a calm farmhouse with soft gray roof, sitting quietly on the hillside. The architecture announces nothing. It simply provides peace. And the land, it is not just for show. Oprah actually farms here. Growing vegetables she picks with her own hands. The woman worth $3.2 billion works in her garden like any other farmer, but the property tells only half the story. What happens inside those walls reveals even more. Step inside Oprah's Hawaii home, and the first thing you feel is light. Sunlight pours through tall glass windows, stretching across warm wood floors, pale walls, high ceilings, everything open but never cold. This space does not scream billionaire. It whispers comfort. Every piece of furniture, every artwork, every material, chosen with intention. Nothing is accidental. Nothing demands attention. Everything serves peace. Here is what makes this home different from typical mansions. There are no formal halls designed for hundreds of guests. Instead, intimate corners built for real conversations with few people. The living room feels like the heart of everything, airy and relaxed. Glass doors slide open, and suddenly the garden becomes part of the room. The kitchen tells its own story too. Long counters, natural stone, windows facing the garden. You can picture the rhythm, picking vegetables outside, rinsing them, cooking something simple. This is not a kitchen for caterers. It is built for hands-on living. Even the bedroom has a chair by the window, positioned for slow mornings and quiet reading. The entire home is designed around one question. How does Oprah actually want to spend her days? But the house is just the beginning. Outside waits 5,000 acres that stretch peace beyond any walls. Step outside the main house, and the property opens like it has no edge. Lawns flow into gardens. Gardens flow into orchards. Orchards disappear into wild land. A long pool mirrors the sky and surrounding trees. Pergolas create shaded corners. Stone paths wind through greenery that follows the hillside. This is not a manicured estate built for photographs. This is living landscape, designed for exploration. Now think about what this means for someone who grew up with nothing. Owning 5,000 acres is not just investment. It is permanent safety. Land so vast that both coastlines are visible from certain spots. A view no hotel offers, a perspective only ownership provides. But here is what surprised me most. The farming is real, not decorative. Oprah grows vegetables, fruits, and herbs that actually end up on her table. The billionaire farmer is not a persona. It is how she lives. Of course, managing 5,000 acres requires staff systems and serious infrastructure. The quiet life is actually built on complex organization behind the scenes. But that piece, it is worth every bit of effort. Moving across this massive land requires vehicles, and her choices reveal the same philosophy as everything else. Here's something most people miss about billionaires. Their cars reveal everything. Not their money, not their taste, their priorities. Oprah's garage. It tells a story most wealthy people would never tell. No Lamborghinis, no Ferraris, no cars designed to be seen. Instead, she drives a Mercedes-Benz S-Class worth around $90,000 to $120,000. It gets her to studios and ceremonies, usually with a driver handling the wheel. Inside, she reviews notes, breathes deep, and resets before facing cameras. The car is not about status, it is about arriving calm. For lighter days, she picks the Lexus ES, valued around $45,000. City errands. The BMW X5 handles meetings and logistics smoothly. But here is the vehicle she uses most. A Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, purchased in 2021 for about $50,000. No luxury, just pure utility. She drives it across her farm, down gravel paths, through gardens, wherever the day takes her. Doors removable, air flowing, freedom. The billionaire prefers a Jeep because it fits her real life. But cars are just tools. The fortune behind them tells the bigger story. As of early 2026, Oprah's net worth sits at approximately $3.2 billion. Let that number sink in for a moment. Not inherited, not lucky, earned. Through decades of smart decisions. She officially became a billionaire in 2003 at age 49. For years, she held the title of the wealthiest black woman in the world. But here is what makes her wealth different. Every dollar traces back to real value. Content that helped people. Advice that changed lives. Her fortune is not built on manipulation. It is built on trust. Now think about this. The Oprah Winfrey Show generated over $2 billion in profit during 25 years. And because she owned Harpo Productions, the majority flowed straight to her. At its peak, she earned $200 to $300 million per year. Not salary, ownership. Even after the show ended, she kept building wealth strategically. In 2015, she invested $43 million into Weight Watchers. That single bet turned into over $220 million in profit. Today, without a daily show, she still earns $40 to $75 million yearly from investments and projects. But making money is only half the story. What she does with it reveals even more. Here is something powerful. Oprah has given away over $400 million in her lifetime. Not scattered donations, focused investment in real change, education, women, children, disaster recovery, long-term impact. And every dollar she gives connects back to the girl who once had nothing. Think about this. In 2007, she opened the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. Initial investment? About $40 million. This school provides education and leadership training for girls from poverty. Girls just like young Oprah. Through scholarships and her angel network, she has supported over 60 schools across 13 countries. Education is her highest priority because education saved her life. But here is what makes her different from most wealthy donors. She does not just write checks, she shows up. During the 2023 Maui wildfires, Oprah was on the ground organizing relief and meeting affected families personally. Hurricane Katrina, COVID-19, Maui fires. When crisis hits, she acts. Her giving includes time and presence, resources that cannot be delegated. She also supports the National Museum of African American History and Culture, preserving stories like her own. But behind all this public generosity lies a private life she guards fiercely, and the relationships that fill her quiet Hawaii days. Since 1986, Oprah has shared her life with Stedman Graham, nearly 40 years together. But here is the twist. They never got married. They were briefly engaged back in 1992, but chose not to go through with it. Oprah has been honest about why. She believes marriage would have changed the balance that makes their partnership work. Freedom and career have always mattered deeply to her, and Stedman understood that from the beginning. Think about this for a moment. Most relationships fail because people force them into traditional forms that do not fit. Oprah and Stedman succeeded by designing something that fits who they actually are. By late 2025, Oprah spoke publicly about his unwavering support during her weight loss journey. Their bond has only grown stronger over the years. But here is what makes their relationship special. Stedman is not just Oprah's partner. He is a business consultant, author, and speaker in his own right. He maintained his own identity and career throughout their decades together. That mutual independence? It may be exactly what keeps them balanced. Of course, the choice not to marry attracted public questions and occasional criticism. But Oprah never wavered. She knows what works for her. In Hawaii, they live a slower rhythm now. Gardening, reading, resting together. The relationship that survived the spotlight now flourishes in the shade. But Stedman is not the only person in her intimate circle. The friendships that fill her life reveal another layer. Oprah's social life follows one simple rule: quality over quantity. A small circle of close friends, not an endless rotation of acquaintances. Her friendship with Gayle King has lasted over 40 years. Oprah publicly calls it one of the most important relationships of her life. Think about this. At 70 plus, she does not need to make new friends anymore. She needs to enjoy the ones who have proven themselves over decades. Real intimacy requires limited capacity, and Oprah protects that fiercely. When she travels, it is with Stedman, Gayle, or a few trusted companions. Quiet destinations like Telluride and secluded resorts. Never crowded, never public. Even her vacations reflect the preference for depth over display. But here's what changed recently. Oprah now hosts most of her work from home, not public studios. Podcasts, interviews, conversations, they happen at her Montecito estate or in Hawaii. The people who enter her space are carefully selected for both work and life. Of course, limiting social access creates potential isolation, fewer spontaneous connections. But Oprah accepts that trade-off consciously. At this stage, she knows exactly who she wants around. And all these choices, the property, the wealth, the relationships, combine into one ultimate expression of her life now. Oprah's Hawaii farm is not retirement. It is earned peace. Every acre of that 5,000-acre property represents security she never had as a child. Every quiet morning represents freedom from 25 years of relentless television demands. Every vegetable she picks connects her to something real. This is not escape. This is arrival. But here's the truth most people miss. The peace is not passive. It is actively maintained. The farm requires management. The wealth requires stewardship. The relationships require attention. Peace at this scale is work. What looks like simple quiet is the result of systems, staff, and decisions most never see. Oprah's peace is not the absence of effort. It is the reward for decades of effort. Now picture this. Oprah walking through her garden at sunset, 70 years old, $3.2 billion secured, 5,000 acres surrounding her. The girl who wore sacks to school now owns more land than she could walk in a day. The queen of television now lives in silence, so deep her breathing is the loudest sound. This is not just success. This is transcendence. You came curious about Oprah's Hawaii farm and discovered something far deeper. A woman who built everything, then chose to step back into nature and quiet. Her farm is not real estate. It is values made physical. This is what billionaire peace actually looks like. Not more, but enough. If this inspired you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe for more stories of how remarkable people design life after achievement. Share this with anyone chasing success but forgetting peace. Now tell me, what surprised you most about how Oprah lives today? Drop your answer in the comments below.